Hello, my name is Steph, and I need your help and support. I am transgender, male to female, and I'm a victim of discrimination. Was set up by my lawyer so I would be forced to go to state prison. The police officer lied in his report, and the local newspaper lied in their reports about me and what was said in the courtroom, plus many other things. To protect myself, I have changed the names of all the streets, businesses involved, town, officer, the lawyer, and judge names, but I will say that this happened in a small town in Pennsylvania. You'll have to excuse me, I did have to write a script because there's so much stuff that happened. I'm not even sure that I even have it all wrote down. So here's what happened. On June 2nd at approximately 2 a.m., I left a local bar with a bunch of people I had just met. We exited via the main front entrance, traveled approximately 30 feet north on West Street, and made a left, heading west on 15th Street. We walked about a block and a half, and I remembered that I needed to check on a friend of an acquaintance that I had met at the bar earlier in the evening. I had made a promise that I would make sure that she didn't drive home, and I wanted to keep it. I turned around, heading east on 15th, and I crossed West Street, made a right, and headed south on West Street to go back into the bar via the main entrance. On my way down West Street, this random girl looked at me with absolute horror in her face, like I was the devil incarnate or something. She backed up into another girl behind her. I looked at her with a confused look and walked away. And just walked right by her. I didn't give her another thought. Went back into the bar via the main entrance that I had originally exited through. I looked for this person, but she wasn't in the bar. So as I left, the coolers redirected me through another exit, and the bar back followed me and caught up to me, and he whispered in my ear that I needed to get out of there. I believe his exact words were that I needed to leave as soon as possible. I headed south on West Street to meet up with this girl to make sure she got home safe. She was sitting at one of the outside tables. On my way down to meet her, I passed that girl that had that horrified look on her face, and she was leaning over to her guy friend saying something like, "That's her," and pointing at me. I just ignored her and kept walking. I had reached the girl that I promised would make it home okay, and she had secured a ride home. So I turned around and headed north on West Street to meet back up with the people I had just met. As I approached the spot where the girl was that had the horrified look, one of her guy friends stepped out in front of me. So I tried to step around. His friend stepped out alongside him and a third behind him, so they staggered across the sidewalk. I was polite and simply said, "Excuse me." He looked at me and screamed, "No, fuck you, faggot," and a few other obscenities. The way he was acting towards me was very aggressive and violent, and I feared for my personal safety. I immediately pulled out my pepper spray and pulled back into a martial arts stance as I had been trained for the past 15 years to do. The guy managed to hit the pepper spray by striking my hand downwards and off to the side. And when he did that, I hit it downwards and to my right, which caused the pepper spray to discharge. Some random girl got hit with the stream of pepper spray. When she got hit by it, everyone's attention went to her. While all the guys were distracted, I quickly got around them and across the street heading west on the 15th. I made it about a block when that girl with a horrified look came running up the street with two of her guy friends, screaming that they were going to kick my butt. Well, they didn't say butt, however, I want to be polite for the camera. I pulled out my pepper spray and warned them that I had it and would use it. The one guy said something and he left. I told them that if they continued to approach me that I would spray them. They continued and I sprayed a warning shot and the other guy left. But she still stood there. I told her that if she took another step towards me that I was going to spray her directly. She took two more steps forward and I sprayed her in the face and she went running. I turned around to meet back up with the group that I was with, and no more than 30 seconds later, there was a police officer pulled up with his headlights on me. Now, my anxiety at this point has skyrocketed. He asked me if I was a college student at the local college, and when I said no, he confiscated my pepper spray, took a taser from my purse, put me in handcuffs, said, "You're not under arrest," and put me in the back of his car and held me for 30 minutes to an hour. Upon leaving the scene, he asked me if I had money. I said, "Yes, but what does that have to do with anything? I'm not paying you off." He drove me 3 miles away to a Denny's restaurant and dropped me off there. He told me that I had a choice. I could either stay at the restaurant or go to the drunk tank. I protested and said neither. That I wanted to go to my boyfriend's house. that was back down where he picked me up a half a block away. And he said, oh, well, he wouldn't drop me off there because then I would be close to my vehicle and I could just leave if I wanted to. And even though he could have watched me walk through the front door of my boyfriend's house. So he left me abandoned at Denny's at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So the following Tuesday, June 5th, I got a call from the officer that picked me up and informed me that I was being charged with 2 counts of simple assault and 1 count of possession of an illegal offensive weapon. The officer said in his report that the surveillance video showed me as the attacker, even though it clearly shows I was acting in self-defense. I should have been allowed to walk away that night free and clear, but the officer obviously had other intentions. And according to the officer, a taser is considered to be a stun gun and is an illegal offensive weapon in Pennsylvania, even though anyone can buy one over the counter at a store no more than 3 blocks from the police station, and the police go in there all the time. You aren't given any notice about its legality. You aren't asked to sign any type of document saying that you know and understand the legality of them. Nothing. They are known as a self-defense weapon to the majority of the people, and that if someone attacks you, you use one to defend yourself. They are sold at a popular local pawn shop, but you aren't told that you can't have it to protect yourself. Now, I have done further research into this. Tasers are 100% legal in Pennsylvania at the time that this incident took place. They are not an illegal offensive weapon. They are only considered to be an illegal offensive weapon when they are used in a manner that is not consistent with common law use. So, when I went to my preliminary hearing, I laid out my entire defense to my public defender. I could easily prove that there was negligence on the state's part and negligence on the town's part for allowing the tasers to be sold, but that didn't matter to her. And also with, them being legal anyways, I don't see the issue with this. She told me that she could get the assault charges dropped since I could prove it was self-defense, but she wouldn't provide a defense for the weapons charge. That I was guilty of it, and that's all there was to it. I mean, what was I supposed to do at that moment? My lawyer just told me that she wouldn't defend me. She said if I pled guilty to it, even with my prior record, I would only get 0 to 3 months probation, and if the judge was having a bad day, 12 months at most. Of course, my anxiety was going crazy, and I didn't have any medication to control it, and I wasn't making sound decisions, but I agreed anyways. I wanted to get through this as fast as possible with as little of problems as possible. So I agreed to plead guilty, so I could get out of that wretched place and get back home on the other side of the country. After she made the arrangements, she came back in to talk to me and asked me, why didn't I just pack up my stuff and go home? The statute of limitations would be over in a few years, and then I could just come back to see my family. Now, I thought this was an odd thing for a lawyer to say, but I didn't pay any attention to it. I had other meetings with my lawyer and hearings, and every time she would ask me, why don't I just leave? Even at the sentencing hearing, she flat out asked me, what are you doing here? If you just leave, you will be on the other side of the Mississippi. They won't bother coming to get you. It would be too expensive to go that far for something so little. So at the sentencing hearing, I was informed that I was going to be going to state prison for 9 to 18 months for the weapons charge, for something that I was legally allowed to have. I panicked and for some dumb reason, pled guilty to a simple assault charge for hurting someone I didn't even hurt. I had 2 weeks to report to jail for a 6 to 12 month sentence at a county prison. Later that week, after I had saw my family one last time, I packed up my stuff and I headed back west to home. Now, those are just some of the events that took place with the officer and the lawyer. There's other events that took place in regards to the judge and how he tried to make this great big equality speech at the sentencing hearing, and how he was going to make an example out of me to show that everybody is equal in his courtroom, even though I was innocent on everything all the way around. I was front page, top headline news in the local newspaper on at least 3 different days. At least those are the only ones that I know of. In each issue, the reporter twisted the truth to paint me in a bad light. They flat out lied about stuff that was said in court and lied to the public about why I was charged with a weapons charge. In the one issue, they told everyone that pepper spray was an illegal offensive weapon, which is not true in the slightest. I wonder how many lives they actually put in danger because they made the public believe that they weren't allowed to have it. I need help. I don't know what to do. This is clearly discrimination. I was clearly targeted. My life is in absolute shambles. I just want to go back to work, but I can't do that with this haunting me. I'm not a violent person. I'm not a criminal. I don't deserve this, and I really just don't know what to do. Anybody out there can please help me. Please. Help me get through this. Help me get these charges dropped. Let's make an example out of these people that they cannot treat people like this. Please.